Hello everybody! So, in today's video we're going to be reviewing some indie manga that I own. So I've got some of the stuff that I've got. So I'm not going to be particularly critical of these, as they're all like amateur publications, like self-published, and I'd rather uplift smaller creators and like have a more positive vibe than to go full on in any issues I have it with them. Like, not that I have any issues, like, they're all, I actually do enjoy all of them, but I am putting that out here first, that even if they had some sort of major flaws and stuff, I just want to shout out some cool people. So, we've got, Vague, which I do own 2 volumes of, but we're gonna just focus on, like, a couple of chapters, because, you know, this is significantly more comic to cover. So this is by Tshepiso, Jeremiah, Sejosengoe, I think that's how you say it. The font is a little bit difficult to read. They're at ChipDraws. I will be linking all the creators as well. We also have Sword by Piggyhammer, which you can see here. See, like, so yeah, you can see the difference in how much you got. And then I've got these two, which is Grit and Paws Up by a writer comic duo. Like, they do both. I met these two. So Salem, Jacobin, and Leith, Raddatz. I hope I said those names right. And you can see here they say their usernames. So we got Druzycrux and Morrow Star 3D. So yeah, we're gonna start with Vague. And yeah, as I said, I own two volumes of this, which are full tankobons, which is significantly more compared to the others. So to keep it fair, I'm gonna just focus on the first couple of chapters. And when I wrote the script, I'd only read a few chapters. So yeah, I really admire this artist. Because I've been following them for a while. We've interacted a couple of times, but like, I just admire how committed they are. Whilst I've spent heaps of time procrastinating, like, I think I started following them before they started, and they've already made 2 whole volumes long before I even like actually got started. So yeah, I really admire them for just not procrastinating. So that might make me a little bit biased, but I actually enjoyed this way more than I thought I would going in. Like, I was like, oh, this is actually something I unironically enjoy. The art, I will admit, isn't quite the same quality as you'd expect from a professional publication, but the artist is a bit younger, and also, like, I mean, even some, not all mangaka are on the same level. There are definitely some, like, even stuff in Shonen Jump, which is, you know, where My Hero Academia, One Piece, all those, even some of those artists aren't on the same level as each other, especially when they're first starting out. And honestly, I've bought Mob Psycho 100. Having the amazing art is not what's gonna sell me. It's definitely more about the story. But yeah, I definitely admire them, just like, because there's been projects where I have not made it because I felt like my art wasn't good enough, and the fact that this guy's just gone and done it, I really admire that. And it gives like very classic shonen vibes. So like, if you like half the stuff that you can see behind me, so you know, it's got the magic's abilities, you've got your plucky young protagonist. It's also got that sort of sense of humor that reminds me of a lot of shonen manga's early chapters. So things like, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but like Naruto and Black Clover are what come to mind. But a lot of series will have like a sense of humor that gradually sort of fades out. They tend to lean into potty humor. I think both Black Clover and Naruto have like poop jokes. This doesn't go to poop jokes, but it still has that similar sort of like vibe of humor, if that makes sense. It had like a classic nose bleeding trope and a bathhouse scene. And I also really appreciated the pages weren't too densely packed. That is something I see a lot of beginners do, where you just put way too much on a page. And I also was curious where they got their paneling inspiration from, just because it felt like there's a lot more white space on pages compared to what is typical. And I'm not saying there's a bad thing. It's just something that I noticed, so I'm curious, like, what their main inspirations are, just because I noticed that there's a lot more just white space between panels than is typical from what I have seen. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of this person's stuff, because they've set a very solid foundation. They got a good work ethic, and they seem to have a knack for it, actually. Like, they've got, you know, a good sense of humor. They got like a quirky kind of typical shonen story. You've got, like, if you like any of your standard sort of battle action shonen, this will be up your alley. So things like your My Hero Academia, your Hunter x Hunter, like what you think of when you think of shonen anime, that sort of stuff, vague is something you'll enjoy. And okay, next up we have Piggyhammer's Sword, which this is another artist that I bought it because I follow them. Wait, I should hold it that way. So I do remember reading the original version, as it was a finalist for Saturday AM's Summer of Manga, and I think it was back in 2022, which, geez, that makes me feel old for how long I've been procrastinating on stuff. So the print edition, they did say that they've adjusted it for higher quality, as it says somewhere in the front. Yeah, okay, so it says here that it's like all the things are reworked. So I don't remember the original well enough to compare like what was changed, but I think it was the same story. Like when I was reading it, I was like, oh, this like feels familiar. And yeah, like it is also pretty common. Like some manga volumes do actually have artwork being changed for print later. Like, so sometimes they have to rush pages. I know My Hero Academia had a chapter or two like this, where like some of the panels were just sketches when it was published as just like a weekly and stuff, and then it was fixed up later. I think Hunter x Hunter also had similar things where the magazine version was different to the manga, and also I know that Yu-Gi-Oh had to change things because they got probability wrong. So they had something where Yugi cheated was in what the original story said, but then like one of the people that read it wrote in and was like, hey, actually that wasn't cheating based on actual probability. So yeah, my favorite part is easily the mythological influences. I don't know a lot about Vietnamese culture or myth, so it was really cool to get to learn a little bit of it and like a bit about it. And apparently the story takes place in the author's hometown, which like just adds an extra layer of charm. Like makes it feel very personal. It's like, oh well, this takes place where you like live, and yeah, like it feels like, you know, very cozy's not the right word, but like I don't know, you just feel a bit more connected with the author when they're saying that, you know, this takes place somewhere that they're very familiar with because like they actually lived there. Yeah, it's charming. The protagonist is also mostly silent, not science, which kind of reminds me of video game protagonists, and like helps to both give them like this cool mystique, but also like be kind of humorous. Like it's a really effective technique for a shorter story like this. Like yes, it does say to be continued at the end, but the story gives enough to feel like it's satisfying that, you know, you want more, but like you're not there like, oh, that wasn't a complete story. Yeah, I feel like both Sword and Vague are really effective in their humor, and like and this stands out to me as someone who kind of sucks at writing comedy and like just more lighted-hearted stuff in general. But yeah, I feel like that it like comedy is a good sort of genre to aim for to get a quick connection. It's a very efficient means of storytelling. Like if you think about it, like jokes, some of the shortest stories we kind of tell to each other. You know, you got the setup and like punchline and all that. So yeah, I feel like that if you want to generate that emotional connection, humor is a very quick way to do it, which works for something shorter, like a more one-shot inspired story. So yeah, that's something that I kind of noticed from doing this. And yeah, the last two comics we've got, I keep holding them backwards. Both by the same people, so it's a duo made up of Morostar 3D, I think, or is it starred? Like it says a 3, but is the 3 meant to be read as an E? And then there's Druzycrux. I actually met these two at a local event called Comic Street, which I will also link in the description because it's like it was an event for, you know, fellow local Aussie artists. So like it was in my city, so, you know, if I link that, you guys will get to see other people that, you know, like me, I guess. So yeah, these two are inspired by Final Fantasy XIV, which when I was scripting this, I hadn't started playing, but I have started playing. I have a character I forget what the cat race is called, but I'm a cat boy. I'm really short. I got like the heterochromia. I'm like super angsty. I'm like level 5. I haven't played it much because I've been focusing on other stuff. And I'm called See, now I know what my name is, but I'm overthinking it. I'm Shimizo. And I got the cat ears. I forget what the cat boy is called, but yeah. I've had fun with it so far. But, you know, like, even before, like, I did that, I did have some knowledge of Final Fantasy, so, like, I've started some of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, but most of my knowledge comes from Kingdom Hearts. But luckily, these two don't really require you to be that familiar with Final Fantasy XIV for them to make sense. They made sense to me when I read them before I had even played any of the game. So yeah, that is good. So starting up with Paws Up, because it's the one that I read first, because it low-key, reminded me of the one-shot Science vs. Magic, which was illustrated by the One Punch Man guy. So yeah, it just reminds me of that because it's both short stories about two dudes, like, fighting. Yeah, I found the use of narration pretty interesting in the comic, as comics tend to lend more towards dialogue rather than narration boxes, so it was just interesting that it was felt more like that it was narration focused, like, internal monologue. Like, by narration box, I mean, like the square dialogue box, like the kind of thing that you would get on a, like, in a book where, you know, they're telling you stuff. So it's kind of like the main guys explaining things that have happened. And yeah, I just found that interesting because that's not particularly typical. And yeah, and when there is dialogue, the text color is different depending on the character talking, which is something I really enjoy. I find it neat. Like, whenever I see it. Unordinary is the webtoon I've seen it the most. Like, although technically it's the speech bubble color that changes, not the word color, but, like, same sort of thing. And also, like, I asked the artists, because I met them, like, in person, how they work as a duo, because often, like, I've seen, like, with things like Death Note, for example, has one that writes, one that draws, but these guys apparently both do both, and I don't know how they're able to get the art to look cohesive doing that. Like, if I tried to do that with my art buddies, you would be able to tell who drew what. Like, yeah, I'm just, I wish I had a friend I could work on like that, because that just sounds like a lot of fun. And also, like, the colors are so pretty in this. They're, like, really good at color, and as someone whose color is not my strong suit, I'm kind of jealous. Like, the art's pretty, and, like, I also like just the colors they picked. Like, this gradient is really cool. And yeah, moving on to Grit, which has very different vibes from Paws Up. So it's a I should have probably explained what all the art styles look like. So Vague has your typical manga look, black and white. The paper is like that glossy magazine kind of paper. So it's a different kind of paper because most manga has more like paper. Does that make sense? Paper. I know paper is the thing. Sword has similar. It does have a couple of colored illustrations, but again, it's mostly typical manga black and white. These all read left to right as well because they were originally in English. I mean, I say that as someone that writes in right to left, just because my brain thinks of comics that way because I've read so much manga that it feels weird. Like, sometimes I'll see stuff and I can't read it the way it's meant to be read. But yeah, so Paws Up was full color, as you can see, and then Grit is like sort of manga but with accents of red, which is a color palette style that I really like. Also, it has purple. You guys can't see it, can you? It has purple for the staples. I didn't even know you could buy purple staples. I don't know, it's just stuff like that that's really just neat that I like. But yeah, there's a really cool color palette. Like, that's the main reason why I want to play Persona. I have heard it's good, and I've had friends recommend it, but, like, seeing Persona's, like, black, white, and red aesthetic is the thing. Yeah, it just looks really cool. And yeah, like, it's just, I don't even know where you can buy things like paper staple. The cover art, like, reminds me of Nagito from Danganronpa, specifically from the, Luck, Hope, Despair, I think it's called, there's a specific manga that's, like, from Nagito's perspective. And yeah, I have no idea which of these two I prefer. Oh, also, this one's, like, paper. This one's more, like, glossy paper. But yeah, this one has, like, a sort of darker aesthetic. I think it follows the same rabbit dude. I'm getting off track and stuff. But yeah, it's really cool. And, like, I asked the artist which ones that was their favorite, and the reason why I bought both is one of them said, like, one and one said the other. So, like, I had to get them both. And yeah, there's also a thank you note at the end of this one to, Cloud for being a baby boy, which is just really funny. Like, I thought that based on the vibes I'd gotten of Cloud before I started playing, he's, like, shown as this, like, angsty boy. And then I started playing Final Fantasy VII, like, the remake. I'm assuming he's pretty similar between them. And I'm like, oh, this guy's a dork. This guy's just, yeah. So yeah, it's, Yeah, it says Cloud for being a baby boy, which I just found really funny. Um, he's just a dork that wants to get paid. So yeah, to wrap this up, as I'm trying not to yap too long about all of them, because I could gush about all of them for ages and show you all like cool art stuff, but I wanted to, just shout out all of them, and I don't want to focus too long on them because I know that I yap too long for videos. But I wanted to just highlight at the end some things that I found that they do well that I feel like you could learn from, sort of thing. So the first thing, as I think I brought this up a bit, is take advantage of humor. Like, it's a good way to connect with people quickly. And I feel like that I don't know, we tend to want to be taken too seriously and stuff, so we tend to, and also humor can sometimes be cringe. Like, and it can sometimes backfire and stuff, but I feel like humor is something to, maybe lean into, as it's a good way to, like, get a quick connection. And I feel like it's not really something that's talked about much unless you're writing a comedy. And then also utilize stuff that's, like, personal to you. So, like, how Sword, like, has, cultural elements, so that's very close to them. Or something like, Grit and Paws Up, where they take, like, using, a piece of media, so, like, an audience can come in and go, oh, well, I already like that. Kind of like what a doujinshi does, or, like, something where it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna read this because I already like the thing it's based on. So yeah, for Sword and Vague, I, bought them online, and I mostly wanted to support artists that I, like, already care about. I don't think that either of them are necessarily selling on, like, things like Amazon, so, like, there was, I think, it was, like, either personal sites, or the kind of things you're not gonna find just by searching, so they definitely, if I didn't know who they were already, I wouldn't have just found them organically. So, like, making people care about you as an artist, like, through social media and stuff, can help you make sales, because that's what got me with these. And yeah, for these two, I met them in person at, like, an event sort of thing. So, for these guys, there was a lot of cool artists, there, but, like, they were the ones that won me over. There wasn't also another one that I bought, like, zine-style comics, because I like zines, but, like, they're the ones that got my sale, and so less essential for them, the social media side of things, to get that, because I'd already met them, and, like, but I hadn't heard of these creators, but they had cool vibes, they had an interesting table, they let me flick through the things beforehand. One of them said my shirt was cool. I think this is what I was wearing. It was probably a month ago now when I went to the event, because I've been procrastinating. I'm really sorry to them that I nearly started crying at their booth, because a bunch of protesters came past and they were really loud and overstimulating. So I was there being like, no, don't cry in front of these, like, cool artists. So yeah, my memories of what exactly happened were pretty blurry. But yeah, so summarize, humor, things that, you care about, so either, like, some aspect of your identity, something that you like. So if you're really into Pokemon, maybe having something about, like, critters, or, like, Pokemon adjacent kind of stuff. And yeah, social media and networking is kind of important as well. All of these creators had some way to get me to buy it through me caring about who they were. And yeah, so that's my review of these. I've been meaning to talk about them for a while. I've had Vague and Sword on a back burner to, review for a while. I think it's probably been over a year since I bought them, but I wasn't sure how best to go about it, as I haven't done something like this, and, I haven't done reviews before, so I even procrastinated on this video after scripting it for several weeks, but I really wanted to, give some extra support to some more creators. I really hope that you guys will check them all out. I hope that you liked the video, and yeah, it also is really cool having in my collection some, like, pretty rare stuff. Like, most people's manga collection aren't going to include Vague. I feel special. I'm pretty sure, I think I saw on this guy's social media that he's revamping it, so I have, like, an even earlier edition, which is really cool. Like, everyone else will have, like, the fancier revamped one, and it's like, nah, I'm an OG. And yeah, it also gave me some ideas for how I could possibly do, like, my printing and publishing. Like, maybe I could release books of, like, the chapters, because initially I was thinking I'd have to do tankobans, because that's how they do it for manga and stuff. I hadn't even considered other methods. So yeah, it's just really cool, and I feel like that, I don't know, these feel less like just products and stuff. They're like, I just like supporting small creators, and I hope you guys too. There are some other things. If you like me doing reviews, I have some other stuff that I want to review, like, I want to review Berserk because I bought the first volume. I haven't started reading it yet because I haven't been in the right headspace for that, because I know it's intense. I know enough to know that going in, but I thought that could be cool to review because it's considered, like, one of the greats, and just seeing my reaction could be funny to it for it. I have Apple Black, which I haven't read yet, but I'm like, that could be cool to review. And I also saw the D.D. Marks Ruthless Surrender. I saw it in the shops. I nearly bought it, but I had to buy lunch. So, I've been paid again. If I get to go back to that shopping center where it was, I'm gonna get Ruthless Surrender. They had the first 2 volumes, and I was so excited, but my friend was like, no, you need to buy food. Food comes first. And I was like, dang it. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. I hope you guys support and read some indie manga. And just read stuff in general. And yeah, shout out to all these guys. If you want to find them, they will be linked. They're really cool. And yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stop yapping.